Adjectives, simply put, are words that describe nouns. Flumen est altum. The river is deep. Our adjective altum, deep, describes flumen, the river. Because of that, altum shares the same case number and gender as flumen. It's a deep river. So the adjective is distinctly wedded to the noun that it describes. But adjectives have another trait, independent of nouns, and that's what's called degree. An adjective can be positive, comparative, or superlative. This video introduces the superlative degree, what it is, what it looks like, and how you can understand it. As its name suggests, and I'm referring to the super part, a superlative illustrates the highest degree of an adjective. So if we look in English, and we'll get to the Latin in a second, if we look at deep, that's the positive form. Deeper is the comparative form, and we use deeper to compare two objects, hence why it's the comparative. And deepest is the superlative form. With deepest, there is no river, tunnel, or thought deeper. In Latin, each of these degrees has a different form. Using altus to mean deep, the positive is altus illustrating the three different genders here with those endings. The comparative would be altior, and that's the masculine and feminine form, with the neuter being altius. And the superlative is altissimus I'll cover the ins and outs of the comparative in a different video, and right now we're going to focus on the superlative form, altissimus. For the sake of brevity, I'll deal with only the masculine form ending in us, but superlatives always take first and second declension endings, as represented by the for the feminine and neuter genders. Most adjectives form the superlative by adding issimus to the stem of the positive form without any final vowel. So if the adjective ends in us, like altus, we drop off the us and add the issimus. Here's caros, dear, in the positive, and carissimus, dearest, in the superlative. If we have an adjective in the third declension like lewis, light, the stem is lewi, and the I at the end gets dropped off, and we add issimus to get lewissimus, meaning lightest. For the adjective felix, meaning happy, the stem is actually felic. The nominative form adds an S to the stem, and the combination of the C and the S gives us an X. And so then the superlative form is felicissimus, happiest. And so I said most adjectives use issimus for their superlative. Adjectives that end in an ER, like miser, misera, miserum, which means miserable, form their superlative with erimus. The R is doubled rather than an S. Miserimus, most miserable. Or acer, sharp, has acerimus, sharpest, as its superlative. Also, 6 adjectives that end in lis, listed here, form their superlative by dropping the is ending, and technically the stem drops the S and the superlative drops the I, and then adding limus. So facilis, easy, facilimus, easiest, difficilus, difficult, difficilimus, most difficult, and so forth. Let's look at the 3 main different ways Latin forms a superlative, and it's rather easy to see a pattern of double S, double R, or double L, followed by the imus ending. And there are some adjectives that have irregular superlatives, and many of these are rather common in Latin. Bonus, good, has optimus, best, as its superlative. Malus, bad, goes to pessimus, worst. And we get the words optimist and pessimist from these, by the way, describing someone who thinks about the best and worst, respectively, possible outcomes. Magnus, great, leads to Maximus, greatest, and this is the name of the main character in Gladiator. He is the greatest. Its opposite is parvus, small, and minimus, least. From these superlatives come the English words maximum and minimum. One more. Multus, much or many, has plurimus, most, as its superlative. These irregular forms come from matching together different words. So, for example, while bonus originates with the meaning good, optimus possibly comes from a stem that means to choose. Still, you can see that all of these superlatives end in imus, despite their irregularities. The superlative in general is used to show something at its highest degree. So Jupiter, king of the gods, is often described with the superlatives Optimus maximus, the best and greatest. The poet Catullus describes Cicero as the optimus patronus omnium, the best lawyer of all, and Optimus describes the patronus. Julia est doctissima discipula. Julia is the smartest student. Or atleta celerimus vincit. The fastest athlete wins. You can see in all of these examples that we translated the superlative in English with the est suffix, as in fastest. But we can also get by with most for the superlatives. And let's switch this last translation around to the most speedy athlete wins. In English, defer to the est suffix for one-syllable adjectives, but use most for those that with two or more syllables. Smartest, but most clever. You can also use the superlative in Latin if you want to show a very high degree of something, without feeling the need to compare it to something else. So say you come across a river and see that it isn't just deep, it's very deep. You can use the superlative form there too. A flumen altissimum. My wife is very beautiful. Uxor mea est pocerrima. I don't just have to say that, and I don't have to compare her to every other person in the world to be able to use the superlative. And if you put the word quam before the superlative, it shows the highest possible degree. Cape quam plurimos denarios. Take as many coins as possible. The quam here has the sense of as blank as possible. Unus and well also work in the same way. Vir unus stultissimus, the one most foolish man, and vel minimus, the very least. Latin can also get by with using the word maxime to mean most or very, in the same way that English does, without using the superlative degree for the adjective, especially with adjectives that end in eus or ius. So, magister est maxime idoneus discipulis. The teacher is very suitable for his students. And note that the adjective idoneus is not a superlative here. In summary, the superlative denotes the highest degree of an adjective. In Latin, we identify it by the ending issimus most commonly, erimus to adjectives ending in er, and illimus to the 6 adjectives I showed you here that end illus. This adjective takes first and second declension endings. In English, we often see the suffix est or the word most used to translate it, but very also works if you're not directly comparing your noun to anything else. Oh, and not every adjective has the need of the superlative degree. Take aureus, golden. Can you really have something that is goldenest or very golden? Common sense should prevail. Next, check out my video on the comparative degree of adjectives. As its name suggests, it's what we use to compare two different nouns.